Well, hello everybody. Welcome to Coding 101. My name is Ksekwamote, and in today's video in Coding 101, what I'm going to teach you is a couple of JavaScript tricks and hacks that I've learned over my coding years. And I feel like if you implement most of what I'm going to teach you today, it's going to help you code much more efficiently or code in a much more neat way, right? So let's just get into it, right? So the first thing that I'm going to teach you is not to use the if true conditional statement and use something else, right? So instead of using an if true statement, you're going to replace it with this AND logical operator. So let me show you how that is done, right? But the first thing that we're going to do is that we're going to first start by defining a Boolean variable, by creating rather a Boolean variable. And we're going to name it as true. And after that, we're going to make a simple if statement. I'm going to just show you how you would regularly do this with your if statement. And this is going to be console.log. And then we're going to say this is true over here. So just ignore some of this on the command line. I'm just going to save this, and I'm going to run this. And you will notice the result after running this. This is true. So that means this is executed the way that we wanted it executed. So you can do it this way, but the much more neater and much more clean way to do it would be just to simply take this Boolean variable and put your AND logical operator and put the resultant of that proper execution of that if statement over here. And you say this is true. And just like that. So let's just get rid of this first if statement that we just made and see if we're going to get the same results. Just going to get rid of this and then run node app.js, and you will notice that it ran the same exact way that if statement ran. So this is pretty much simple. I think like there are many utilities. I feel like there are many ways you can use this very simple hack in your programming, so that you can make your code much more cleaner and much more neater and much more simpler, right? Because that is the goal. Remember, KISS, keep it simple, stupid. So let's get on to our next JavaScript hack, which is called object structuring. I'm not going to take any chances with the spelling for the structuring. Okay, so one of the most important tricks, obviously, in JavaScript, especially if you have intentions to go beyond JavaScript, say you want to explore a few of JavaScript libraries like React, is object structuring. So you really need to know much about this. This is one of the most important things that you could ever learn as a JavaScript developer. So object structuring. So before we continue on, I explain to you what before I continue explaining to you what object structuring is, first let's start off by defining an object. We're just gonna define a person. We're gonna put in the key fields over here, like the person's name. We're gonna say his name is Cody. I'm gonna put in the surname. His surname is 101. And then we're gonna put his age, and we're gonna just say 21 over there, right? So that is a basic JavaScript object over here. So what this object structuring allows you to do is to decompose the properties of an object and make them individually accessible. So the way we do that is we just simply define an object, but instead of putting a variable name over here, we would put parentheses, these curly brackets, sorry, and we would put those key fields in and we would put those key fields in the object that we want to destruct. So I want to just put a name and surname, and then we would equal that to the actual object. And once you're, so this on its own, this is object structuring. And the reason why we've destructured the object, for lack of a better term, is that now these objects that you see, these fields that you see over here are now accessible without having to acquire them the old-fashioned way by saying person.name and all that kind of stuff. So I'm going to just say name. I'm just going to console log this name. I'm going to see if what should happen is that name and Cody should be should be logged into our console. Let me run that, and as you can see, we managed to access that field, in our object. We can do the same with our surname, console.log. Just to show you. And then I'm going to run this again. And there you go. We can do the same if we want to access age. We just do the same thing, right? So this is, I feel like, a better mousetrap as opposed to coming here and doing this person name. So this is what I normally do. This is normally how I code in my projects. I prefer that anybody does object destructuring or destructing rather. I think it is a much more efficient way of coding. So let's move on. So object destructing actually brings us to our next JavaScript trick. The same destructing that we just talked about can be used in many different ways, like I was just saying. And one of the ways it can be used is it can be used to swap values, right? So if you have two variables, you can use object destructing to swap those two variables. So I'm just going to define two variables over here. Instead of my food, I'm just going to say burger. And then this one, I'm going to just go choco. So what we want to do is that we want to swap these variables so that burger actually points to the chocolate emoji, and the choco emoji actually points to the burger emoji, right? So how you would normally do it, let's just show how you would normally do it. You would just say temp food, right? And then you would say burger. And then you would say burger is equals to temp food. Sorry, burger is equals to choco, sorry. Burger is equals to choco. And then you would say choco is equals to temp food. This is how you would normally swap these two variables. If we just console log this, and we can see the results. Burger, choco. Save, run it in your terminal. You will notice that the burger is now pointing to the chocolate and the choco is pointing to the burger. So to use object destructing allows us to carry out this operation in a much more cleaner sense, or in a much more sophisticated sense, I should say. So let's do this with object destructing, right? Instead of creating all these variables, we're going to just make it much more simple. So we're going to just put these square parentheses, or whatever you call, are these square parentheses? I don't know what they are. We're going to put our burger variable over here, and we're going to put choco. And then this is where the swapping takes place. We put our choco first, and then we put our burger over there. And just like that, the two variables that you've defined have now been swapped as a consequence of object destructing. So of course we have to prove this. We have to console log this. burger and choco over here. I'm just gonna get rid of this. Save this. So we need to run this. Remember, if the console log, what needs to happen is that in our burger here, the choco emoji should appear first and be followed by the burger emoji. And then we run this application. And then that's just it. Look at that. Easy as ABC. So this is object destructing. So there you have it. Swapping two variables using object destructing. To prove this a little bit more, I think what I'm going to do is I'm going to attach a string to this so that you will notice the change much more clearly. I'm just going to put a plus sign over there. Make sure I save this. And then I'll run this. Hey! What happened? Oh, I forgot to put this over here. There you go. There you go. So for some reason, you have to make sure that you have this semicolon before you do your swapping to show to the compiler that you are now swapping the variables. All right? So now let's move on to the next trick, which I call the spread operator. Some of you may know this, some of you may not know this, but I know it's one of the most important things that you must learn as well in JavaScript. It's going to cut your coding literally, I don't know, by half or a quarter or something like that. It allows you to do so many of the things that might take you a while to do and just cuts that coding time in half. So I'm a big fan of the spread operator. I use it whenever I get the chance to use it. So I would highly recommend that you use it as well. So the spread operator in JavaScript, what it essentially does, it allows us to quickly copy all or part of an existing array or object into another array or object. So let's say, for example, you have an array, and this array is A. This is an array of lowercase letters, characters. So what the spread operator does, it essentially allows you to copy either this entire array or part of the array into another array. Okay, so I'm going to show you how that actually works, right? So let's just make two arrays. So this is our first array. I'm just going to put 1 beside it, and I'm going to make another array, 2. So what I want to do now, and let me just 1, 2, 3. So what I want to do now is I want to combine these two arrays. So I'm going to use the spread operator to do that. So I'm going to say combined. So I'm going to make the outer array or the main array. And in order for me to copy any of those arrays, I'm going to use the spread operator. And this is how the spread operator is. It's just 3 dots, and you put the name of that array. And then what I'm also going to do is that I'm going to put 3 dots and put the name of that array. And just like that, I've combined the two arrays. I'm just going to console log that so that you can better see the results. And just like that, boom, I managed to combine two arrays using the spread operator. So it's easy as ABC. Literally easy as ABC. So that's the spread operator for you. So the spread operator, like I just said, it's very easy. It's one of the most important things in JavaScript. You not only use it, it not only works in arrays, but it also works in JSON object as well. So what I'm going to do right now is that I'm going to define an object. It's a vehicle. And this vehicle has a brand model and it has a color as well. So now what we want to do after we've created that vehicle object, we want to create a second object which has different sets of properties from the first object. But there is going to be one property which is going to be the same, which is going to be the color of that vehicle. So we have two objects that we want to combine into one. And I'm going to call it my updated vehicle. I don't know how to spell vehicle. And remember that this is going to be a whole new combined JSON object, right? So we're going to just do the same thing that we did with the arrays. We're just going to do the spread operator, and we're going to call that vehicle and do the spread operator. And then updated vehicle values. And we're just going to console log that to see if it works exactly the way we want it to work. Update my updated vehicle, right? So that's cool, right? Let's just get rid of this so that it doesn't become confusing for you. And clear this command line. And you can see that the two JSON objects have been combined. And you will notice that where there is a conflicting field, the object that is on the right takes preeminence. So in this case, the color yellow was the one that so in this instant, the color yellow cancelled out the color red. So the object on your right takes preeminence and cancels out the fields of your first value if the fields are the same. So just let's move on to our final hack of our JavaScript, which is which is related. Let's just get rid of this console. It's very much related to our spread operator. So in JavaScript, you can also not only can you use the spread operator to copy or combine two arrays or two variables, you can also use the spread operator to update a JSON object, and I'm going to show you how that is done. So we have our vehicle over here. Let's just get rid of this, right? Because we understand this now. So we have our vehicle over here. And what we want to do is that we want to change the brand name of that vehicle. And instead of a Ford, we want it to be a Toyota. So what we're going to do is that we're going to just create we can just, it depends on what you want to do, but we can just create vehicle 2. Remember, we want to change the brand name. We want to change the brand name to Toyota. So what we would do, we would use the spread operator here. We would copy that entire JSON object. And over here, we would just take that brand field and we would insert a different value. We would assign it a different value. And instead of Ford, we would write Toyota. And just like that, it has changed. So we can just console log this and confirm if it works exactly the way we want it to work. So let's get rid of this. And you can see that now the branding has changed. It's no longer a Ford, it's a Toyota. So that is one of the use cases for a spread operator. Many And there are plenty of use cases that we can make for using the spread operator, but these are just some of them. So I hope this video was very informative for you. These are some of the tricks that you can use to improve your coding skills or to code much more effectively. I'll keep posting more tricks in probably the next video, but please make sure you subscribe, make sure you leave a comment on the comment section, and make sure, please, 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 make sure that you like this video. I will see you next time on Coding 101.